as foreigners make you a minority. Another election, another bust. Go vote for that liar, it's a must. We were given the greatest gift of all, decided to give it up and watch the fall. Yeah, it's just a clown world. We're living in a clown world. Join us in the clown world. It's easy to see that the joke's on you and the joke's on me.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is Thursday, May 21st, 2026. Did May just fly by, or is it me? I caught myself this morning. Summer hasn't really hit Austin yet. I'm a little upset. You know, we've had some hot days, but cloudy today, no sun. It's a little depressing. I'm saying, when is summer going to get here? What is taking so long? All right. I'm going to tell you what we have coming up. Apologize for the tardiness, but we warned you all week. The schedule is a little wonky this week. The schedule's been wonky really all of May. We've kind of had a wonky schedule, so I do apologize. Next week, going forward, the Owen Report should be back to its normal time every day, 3 to 6 p.m. Central, weekdays. Most people, I mean, quite frankly, most people, when they're dealing with legal stuff and business stuff like I have been all week, they usually either don't do a show or they let someone else host the show. So really, I'm trying to do it all. And I figure you would rather have me do the show late than not do the show at all. So that was kind of my philosophy there. So apologize for the tardiness today. We do have a full show planned. I've got the normal content planned. We do have to sign off at 7 tonight, because I'm doing an interview on another show with Elizabeth Lane at 7. So we won't be doing a full 3 hours, unfortunately. I was hoping I could be on air by 4. But we'll go till 7 Central. Then I'm going on with Elizabeth Lane. So that's just kind of the programming note so everybody can be caught up. Should be back to the normal schedule next week. All right, here's what we have. We have some comments from Trump. And I think I'll lead with this, and I do have this the lead today. We've been witnessing the Democrats, for the most part, they've kind of gone into they've crawled back into their hole for the most part, which, funny enough, has been beneficial for the Democrats because Trump and the Republicans obviously have not delivered for the larger coalition, not delivered for their base. So the MAGA coalition is dead. Trump support at record lows. So all the Democrats had to do was get out of the way, and Trump and the Republicans have basically destroyed themselves. But now the Democrats are getting ready to posture their positions, their big issue positions, for the midterms. And as I predicted, they will be going in on AI data centers and, well, anti-AI data centers, and they will be going anti-foreign policy in the Middle East. They may even make it specific to the issue of Israel, which these two things are going to be such a winning issue in the midterms, it's unreal. And right now, the Republicans have no choice. They have to support the AI data centers because it's part of the Trump agenda now that he's run by the big tech industrial complex. And quite frankly, this benefits the Israeli lobby as well, because the Israeli lobby wants Americans spied on 24/7. In case any of us dirty Americans get uppity about Israel, they can identify us and shut us down. So the Israel lobby loves the surveillance state as well. These are paranoid schizophrenic freaks, which everybody is starting to see now. So the Republicans are going to give the Democrats the two biggest political issues Middle East foreign policy, and AI data centers. They're going to give the Democrats the win on these things, and then they're going to have to support what Trump is doing as far as the Middle East and AI data centers are concerned, which is extremely unpopular. And you add that into the equation that the economy is not going well, that also favors the Democrats. So this is what we have going into the midterms. And the reason why I lead with this today, because we have another example. And I think the Democrats are going to make their move this summer. But I've got AOC today in a congressional hearing, and she is now pounding the pavement when it comes to the AI data centers. I suspect the Democrats are going to be more strategic on the Israel issue, but we'll get more to that. We'll finish the intro here, and we'll get more into the specifics of this stuff when we come back with the monologue. But we got news from Trump. We got news on the ballroom. We got news on the weaponization fund. And not just news on the weaponization fund. For whatever reason, because I can sit here and point out all these issues with corruption in the Trump administration, for some reason, the weaponization fund is getting a bunch of negative attention. I don't know why that's the one that's getting all the negative attention. As I said, it was like the one thing that might be good of all the different issues. That's like the one thing that would probably be a good thing, but there are some reasons why it's drawing attention. So we will look at that. We got some other economic news, some other random news, and as always, we will take the super chats at the end of the show. So it'll be a little bit of a shortened show because I committed to an interview at 7, but we still have a normal show, normal content, and we're going to get you updated on everything that's going on in the news, current events. And I think the big developments here as we get ready for the Democrats this summer to really start pounding the pavement and pressing these issues that the Republicans are just giving to them. They're just going to let the Democrats win on these issues. And if they can't fix the economy, it's going to be big trouble. And I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I know I'm going to hear it. I know we're all going to hear it. Like, oh, how bad the Democrats are. That really doesn't work anymore, but oh, how bad the Democrats are. And, oh, it's your fault. You won't blindly support Trump. You won't blindly support Republicans. You won't sell yourself out. You won't sell your ethics. You won't sell your integrity to support Trump and the Republicans no matter what. Oh, my gosh. You're going to put the Democrats in charge. Let me say this kindly and calmly. Fuck you. We're not going to sell out our integrity. We're not going to sell out our morals. We're not going to become a political cuck. We're not going to join your cult. And if you really cared about the Democrats not getting into power in the midterms, if you really cared, you would stop doing things that Americans are sick of. Stop lying to Americans. Stop gaslighting Americans. Stop prioritizing foreign interests and special interests. Fix the economy. Stop ramming AI data centers down our throat. Stop ramming the Israeli lobby down our throat. That's what's going to give the Democrats the midterms, not us. And I don't want to hear it. But we're going to, unfortunately. Today's show is brought to you by Cove Pure Water Filtration Systems. This is such a success story, guys. Such a success story. So many of you in the audience have already purchased your Cove Pure Water Filtration System, and so many of you have reached out to me with nothing but rave reviews. Folks, the people love it. I love it. I have one in my house. I'm actually thinking about getting a second one for upstairs. I've got one downstairs. I was thinking about actually having a second one, just have one upstairs as well, maybe here in the studio. It'd be nice. But here's the deal. Why is Cove Pure so great? Because it takes water filtration to the future. There's a lot of water filters out there, but they're all very basic. They're all kind of stuck in the past, quite frankly. Not Cove Pure. Here's why I say Cove Pure is the water filtration system of the future. This screen that you see on the screen here, they have a screen on the front. That's your digital interface right there. You can control the temperature of your water. You can control how much you want it to disperse. There's actually shortcuts on there. You can click one button and you get scalding hot water. Say you want to make tea or instant coffee, something like that. One button, scalding hot water. When that's done, you can hit another button and you get ice cold water. I don't know how it does it. It's kind of I almost want to ask them how they're able to do this. The machine can give you, the faucet can't even do this. One click of a button, scalding hot water. 1 second later, one click of a button, ice cold water. Incredible stuff. This water filter gets rid of 99.9% of contaminants with reverse osmosis. Now, the problem with reverse osmosis is that it dealkalizes the water. This water filter realkalizes the water before you drink it. Doesn't get any better than that. Take your water filtration to the future with Cove Pure water filtration systems. And right now, for my listening audience, when you go to covepure.com/Owen, covepure.com/Owen, $250 off your water filtration system. Take advantage. Take advantage of this sale. I don't know how much longer it's going to be up. $250 off your water filter at covepure.com/Owen.
On the cutting edge of news and analysis, the Owen Report with Owen Schroyer.
All right, cheers, guys. Thank you for your patience today. I promise next week we should get back to the normal schedule of 3 to 6 p.m. weekdays, dealing with some legal stuff, some business stuff. Quite frankly, it's great news, I will tell you. It's all good news. And I'm very excited. I'm very excited for the future of this show and the future of the Win Network. And I want to thank everybody. I want to thank everybody that has supported me, prayed for me, tunes in every day, shares the transmissions. Really means a lot. So I apologize for kind of the wonky schedule this week. We should be back next week, but dealing with legal stuff, business stuff, and it's all good news. And of course, I have to deal with this stuff. So there's really no other option. I just have to do it. But we still do the show. So most other hosts would either take off or have a guest host. I just decide we'll just move the show back. You would probably prefer that. All right. Now let's get the niceties out of the way. Okay. I'm starting to get the feeling that the Democrats, their time of silence is about up, because comparatively, the Democrat Party has been relatively quiet. They've been relatively quiet since Trump was elected. It wasn't the normal backlash. It wasn't the normal noise and response that we saw in 2016 and really even the years that Trump wasn't in office. They were still very loud about Trump. Well, this go around, they've been quiet. And strategically, I think you have to give them credit. I think strategically, you do have to give the Democrats credit, because in the first administration, they did everything that they could to try to destroy Trump, and it didn't work. Well, now Trump is destroying his base. Trump has destroyed the MAGA coalition. And basically all you have left now in the administration are people that are just clinging on for dear life for either personal or professional reasons, And then you have all of the yes men that will just do whatever Trump tells them to do. So I give the Democrats credit. They realized, hey, you know what? The attacks on Trump nonstop from the first administration, it didn't really work for us. So they went quiet. They let Trump hurt himself. They let Trump destroy his own base. And by the way, this was well known. This was well known. There were a couple famous Rush Limbaugh segments that he did on his show. But then he went on Fox News one night. I don't know what show it was on. I think it was Rush Limbaugh's, actually, I believe it was his last appearance on Fox News. And he said, all this attack from the deep state, all of this attack from the Democrats against Trump, it's not going to work. They cannot destroy Trump's base. They're not interested in what the left or the Democrats or the mainstream media have to say about Trump. The only person that can destroy Trump's base is Trump. Now, Rush no longer with us. He was 100% right. That's 100% right. The only person that can and did destroy Trump's base was Trump. And so the Democrats strategically let it happen. They went quiet. And now they're in a position to actually run on issues for the midterms. And they're on the winning side. So you're going to see this. I think the Democrats are really going to start this in the summer. It'll really start to form into a pattern after the primaries. But you're going to start seeing and hearing it this summer. The Democrats are going to position themselves against AI and data centers. The Democrats are going to position themselves against the Middle East foreign policy. This is what the Democrats are going to do. And those two issues, the Democrats will win on. The war with Iran is not popular. Israel is not popular. Data centers, not popular. Turning our country into an AI surveillance state, not popular. Now, there's some signs that I have in the show today. There's some signs that the Republicans, some of these Republicans actually realize this. And as I predicted, when we get closer to the midterms, many of these Republicans will turn on Trump. Now, I warned about that. And I said, if Trump thinks burning these bridges with his most ardent supporters, if Trump thinks burning these bridges with his base to build new bridges with the Republican Party, if he thinks that will benefit him in the long run, he is making an extreme mismeasurement. And I think we're about to see that too. Because Republicans have to win elections as well. And Trump is not on the ballot in this midterm. So these senators that are up for reelection, these House reps that are up for reelection, they might even be looking at Trump and saying, well, I don't want the wrath of Trump on me. I don't want the wrath of Trump like Massey. I don't want the wrath of Trump like Marjorie Taylor Greene. So I don't want to become that. But at the same time, unless I can position myself politically in a position to win an election, meaning I can't be a rubber stamp for Trump, I can't be a rubber stamp for the war in Iran, even if they want to support it or end up voting for it. They have to at least show some apprehension. And I don't want to be a rubber stamp for AI data centers. So I think you're going to start to see this rift, and there's signs of it today. I've got some signs of this today, that some of these Republicans are now kind of looking at Trump and saying, yeah, you're not as popular as you were 2 years ago. And these issues that are going to be the big issues for the midterms, the economy, data centers, AI, Israel, Middle East foreign policy, Trump is on the wrong side of these issues, and he's trying to drag the rest of the Republican Party down with these issues. What are they going to do? Are they going to go along for that ride? I don't think so. I don't think so. I think these Republicans, especially if the Democrats take the House, and even more so if they take the House and Senate, I think Trump is going to become very isolated. But I guess that's what we all get, right? I guess we all have to learn the lesson. Never trust a politician. Huh. Never trust or rely on a politician. But here's what's even worse, and this is where it's more personal. If President Trump thinks that the new MAGA that were originally never Trumpers, if Trump thinks that the new MAGA is going to stand up for him when the chips are down, if Trump thinks that the new MAGA is going to stick their neck out there and take the punishment for Trump, if Trump thinks that new MAGA would even be willing to go to jail for President Trump, he's going to find out the hard way. All of these people will run and hide. All of them. Now, we'll see as far as the politicians are concerned. We'll see as far as the actual Republicans in office or running for election are concerned. It's a bit different for them. But I'm talking about the people. I'm talking about what was the OG MAGA coalition to what's this new MAGA coalition. None of these people will stand up for Trump. None of them. Trust me, I know, because I was an OG MAGA. I was in the streets. I was getting censored. I was getting sued. I was getting death threatened, attacked, swatted, put in prison. I went through it, and I didn't see any of them. For 8 years, all the stuff that OG MAGA went through with Donald Trump, all these people in new MAGA, I didn't see any one of you. I didn't see any of you in the streets. I didn't see any of you in court. I didn't see any of you getting censored. But that's who Trump's riding with. And he's going to find out. And quite frankly, this is the most supportive thing I could say. This is the most supportive thing I could tell Donald Trump right now. All of these new MAGA people that you think will take a bullet for you, they will all run and hide when the weather gets cold. You watch. Every single one of these people that is pretending to like you, every single one of these people that is pretending that they care about you or support you politically, as soon as the weather changes, as soon as the temperature gets turned up politically and they start to feel the wrath, they'll all be gone. They will all be gone. They will all go into hiding, and none of them will stand up for you when the going gets tough. And I'm sorry that you're not interested in our support anymore, but that's your choice. And it would take quite a bit, I think, for Trump to win back his original base. But we shall see how the Republicans want to handle this heading into the midterms, because the Democrats have already decided. They're going to run against AI data centers. They're going to run against Middle East foreign policy. They're going to run against this war. They're going to run against Israel. The economy's bad, so that's not going to help Republicans. And then the Republican Party, the members up for re-election, they're going to have to decide, if I don't cross the aisle on some of these issues, I'm not going to win an election, especially with the economy as bad as it is. But nobody's telling this to Trump, and I think anybody that might is either being removed from the vicinity or getting access to Trump's ear, or maybe they're all just so afraid to say anything to Trump like this that they just refuse to do it. And man, oh man, you know, someday we'll probably do a special transmission, or who knows, producer DMT might have something to say about this. But someday we'll probably do a special transmission and just ask Trump supporters what they're going to do in the midterms. Because from where I'm standing, most of Trump's base, the original base from 2015 and 16, most of them are either not going to be voting in the midterms or they're going to be voting Democrat. pretty big concern. Because one vote in this instance is actually a two-swing vote. You take one vote away from the Republicans, you add one to the Democrats. That's a two-vote swing. So this isn't about fighting for people that didn't vote. This is about trying to maintain the same votes you had, but you're hemorrhaging them. So I think they got a problem, folks. I think they got a big problem. And I don't see any signs that Trump or the Republicans are ready or willing to correct any of these issues. Any of them. I have not seen it. So let's take our first break. We're going to take an early break today and kind of get caught up back to the normal hourly schedule. So we'll take our first break. When I come back, I'm going to get into all of the news. We got some video clips, a bunch of news, and we'll get back into the regular time with the clock here as we technically are not in the second hour, but we're going to call it the second hour when we return.
You're listening to the Owen Report on the Win Network.
Folks, you might be thinking it's time to diversify my wealth. You might be thinking it's time to get my cash out of the bank. It's time to think about precious metals, silver, gold. You're hearing all about it. You might be thinking all about it. I suggest calling my friends at Allegiance Gold. Give them a call. The call is free. 844-790-9191. 844-790-9191. Any questions, any concerns, whatever you want to discuss with them as far as your finances, they are ready and willing to answer these questions. And that's why they have an A+ review with the Better Business Bureau. They want to make sure you're confident, and they want to make sure you are fully understood about the decisions you are making before you make them. That's why we go with Allegiance Gold. Almost 10,000 clients nationwide. And you got to have that A+ review with the Better Business Bureau. You got to. So if you pick up the phone and you call them, ask about $5,000 in free gold and silver with qualified investments. You heard that right. $5,000 in free gold and silver with qualified investments, whether through your 401k, IRA, or savings. Our friends at Allegiance Gold make it simple to understand and simple to move into something real before the next reset. You can also go to protectwithowen.com if you want to streamline this process. Go to protectwithowen.com. You need to protect your wealth. You need to protect your finances because no one else will.
No, que está. No, que está. No, que está. No, que está.
It's America's home for political play-by-play. It's the Owen Report with Owen Schroyer.
No, que está.
All right, so the two main Democrats that have really been vocal about the AI and data centers. And I don't know how much of this is strategic versus how much of it is organic, but it's been AOC, it's been Bernie Sanders. And, despite what you might think about those two or their politics, they do understand that this is a winning issue politically, standing against AI and data centers. So maybe the Democrats are kind of letting, if it's strategic, the Democrats are letting AOC and they're letting Bernie Sanders kind of take the lead on this, kind of like probe this to see how popular it is. And if it is popular and they see that this pops in their inside polling, then they will go all the way on these two issues after the primaries. And I do anticipate that's going to be the case. I think they've already decided to run against the Middle East foreign policy. They're just going to wait till after the primaries before they get really vocal about that. And they will win on these two issues. And they will flip a lot of Trump voters on these two issues. And they will they will be able to claw back a lot of the youth vote. Isn't that amazing, by the way? And I'm going to go to this clip. Isn't that amazing? It's really stunning. It does not get addressed or talked about enough. We built what could have been a political dynasty. We built a political dynasty that could have made a generational run. I mean, the coalition that was behind Trump could have won multiple election cycles if Trump just would have stayed on point. If Trump wouldn't have stabbed us in the back, lied to us, gaslight us, and then served foreign interest instead of us and special interest instead of us, we could have been sweeping elections for years to come. Years. Especially considering, what is it that the Democrats have had such an advantage on Republicans? It's been the youth vote. Democrats have owned the youth vote. And we finally got in there. Conservative politics got cool again. Trump actually penetrated Democrats' door closed stranglehold on the youth vote. And he's totally pissed it away. And now the Republicans are going to piss it away by serving Israel and serving the tech elite. Very unpopular with the youth. It's unreal. It's actually so crazy. It's like I'm sitting here in the Twilight Zone. I look at all the original MAGA people like myself. I'm out. And then I look at, well, who's running MAGA now? All the same people that were never Trumpers, all the same people that were anti-Trump, anti-MAGA, all the same neocon conservative, cuckservatives, Conservative Inc., all of them that fought us to stop Trump, now all of them are working with Trump. Now that's MAGA. The original anti-MAGA is now MAGA. It's one of the strangest things I've ever seen. It doesn't get talked about enough. But, the more important aspect here is how Trump just pissed away the youth vote. Just pissed it away. It had to be, Trump spending all of his political capital in his first year and a half in office on foreign and special interest has been the biggest betrayal anyone has ever seen in American politics. There's no other way to put it. Obama never betrayed his voters like this, although that's probably the closest comparison, quite frankly, would be Obama. No one has ever betrayed their base like Trump. Nobody. And it's not even close. It's not even close. And the war with Iran is the biggest, most obvious betrayal. And we all know why he's doing it. It's disgusting. Can you believe that? That's like the Red Sox trading Babe Ruth to the Yankees. That's the political transaction. Trump traded Babe Ruth to the Yankees. It's unreal. But that's what it is. After everything we fought for to get Trump back in and win the House and the Senate for Republicans, and he literally went all in on Israel and AI data centers. And that's it. That he spent it all. He spent his wad politically on that. We're going to lose the youth vote. Many people won't vote Republican again for multiple election cycles. Truly a betrayal, unlike anything anyone has ever seen in politics. But here's AOC. So I play this because you need to know this is where Democrats are going to go, and they're going to win on the AI data center issues because it's very unpopular, and the Republicans are all in support of it.
I have a jar right here. This is the current drinking water in Morgan County, Georgia. Right after a data center was constructed, the metadata center was constructed. The only difference between the clean water and this was that data center. I have another one as well. So this wasn't just one well. These wasn't just one family's situation. This is what the drinking water now looks like next to that data center. And I think both of us can agree that neither one of these things are drinkable. These families now have to ship, in a rural area, have to ship water to their house in order to cook and bathe themselves. Now, I'm curious if the EPA plans any investigations on how data centers are affecting water quality and availability. I understand what you said about the rule, but are there going to be any open investigations on this issue?
So as soon as I get back to the office, I will be looking into exactly what you've just talked about, because anywhere, whatever type of construction it is a priority to ensure that water quality standards established by EPA are being met. And so we'll be looking into that certainly.
Thank you. I sincerely appreciate that because I think this is of utmost importance, and we're seeing this happening across the country. I'd also like to ask about the administration's push to build more data centers by fast-tracking construction. Because the administration's been issuing executive orders to fast-track data center construction when we know that water quality is encountering major issues. Are there any mandates for data centers to do water quality testing prior to construction?
Of like coming from a public water supply, drinking water supply sampling?
Wells, yeah.
I'm not aware of anything like that. However, it doesn't mean I'm just not aware of it. Might exist,
Yes,
but I'm not.
Of course. You know, I think it's important that, you know, you as an agency official, we have to make sure we're doing these investigations. And then us on a congressional level, I'd like to note that I think it's of utmost importance that we also launch congressional investigations into this matter as well, so that we can partner with the EPA and ensure that the drinking water for this country continues to be safe and accessible for the American people. So thank you, Administrator.
Thank you.
Well, I think we have to observe something here. The Democrats are getting better. Let's just call it what it is. They're getting better at the game. There's really nothing you can say about AOC there that's negative. That's a winning issue, and she delivers it in an effective manner. Now, here's the dilemma many of us will face in the midterms. If you're like me, I have no interest in voting for Democrats. I have none. And the only motivating factor for me right now to vote at all in the midterms is because Trump endorsed Ken Paxton, and so I want to vote for Ken Paxton. I was going to vote for Ken Paxton anyway. It has nothing to do with Trump's endorsement, but now it looks like we can actually get Ken Paxton in there and remove John Cornyn. That's the only thing that was going to motivate me to vote or vote Republicans in the midterms. So here's the dilemma that we're going to face politically, and there's two stages here. If you're somebody like me that I've never voted Democrat, I really can't even begin to fathom voting Democrat. And by the way, you know, I see all the comments in the chats. I'm not saying Ken Paxton is perfect, and I get all these issues. voting is fake, all the stuff you're saying. I get all of that. But these are still the dilemmas that we face politically. If you don't want to vote, if you don't believe in the process, then that's fine. You'll sit it out. But if you still have faith in the process, or you still want to go vote, and even if there's a 1% chance that it's, a real result, then okay, here's the dilemma you face. We don't want to vote for Democrats for obvious reasons. But if the Democrats are going to be campaigning and running on halting the construction of these data centers and at least forming some semblance of resistance in D.C. against the AI surveillance state, that's an issue I want to vote for. That's an issue that I would actually go vote for. And the Republicans are on the wrong side of that issue. Middle East foreign policy, same thing. If the Democrats actually put their foot down and say, we're done supporting Israel and we're getting out of the Middle East, that's something I support. That is an issue that I would vote for. Now, here's level 2 of this dilemma. Why would I trust the Democrats? Why would I trust that the Democrats, if they get into power, are actually going to stop the AI data centers or actually going to decouple us from Israel? Is there really even any reason for me to trust that? Probably not. But it just becomes a gambling game. It just becomes a gambling game of, I know the Republicans aren't going to do it. The Democrats might. Now, here's what's funny, by the way, and this is, if we want to go back into the Massey race, it's so crazy, guys. It's honestly so crazy. And you look at a lot of these people on the right today, you look at Trump's support base. I want to be nice, feeling nicey today. They're just so ignorant. They're just so ignorant. And they don't understand that the same people that funded Galrain are currently funding James Tallarico in Texas, the Democrat. So they think it's this big win, like, oh, Galrain won. He's the Republican, not like Massey. Ed Galrain is funded by the exact same groups and individuals that are funding every major Democrat Senate race to try to flip those seats blue. Oh, but you're the principled Republican. Oh, you vote Republican. You vote party over principle. You vote however Trump tells you. You really think that Massey's the bad guy. The same people that fund Galrain are funding all of the Senate races right now that Democrats could win. Marion Adelson, AIPAC, they're pouring millions of dollars into every Senate race where the Democrats could flip a seat. And you really think you got a big win with Galrain? You really think that he's the pro-American guy? I mean, it's so sad. It's so sad. And you just can't break through to these people. So these are our dilemmas. The Democrats are going to be on the right side of the big issues, but does it really make any difference? They're all funded by the same people. Why would I trust a Democrat to go through with any of these policy promises? So then what do you do? What do you do? But they will be on the winning side of these issues. The Democrats will be on the winning side of Middle East foreign policy and on the data centers. And there's going to be so much coming out like this. A heat map of the Stratos AI data center in Utah. A Utah State University physicist estimated the project's thermal load at roughly 16 gigawatts, describing it as, quote, about 23 atom bombs worth of energy dumped into this local environment every single day. That's not popular. Not when the economy's no good. And where are all the climate change people, by the way? They've gone suspiciously silent on the data centers. And by the way, big tech is now with Trump. You know, all these big tech oligarchs that did all the censorship, you know, they're all with Trump now. You know, they're all pro-Trump now. And so Zuckerberg is one example. Mark Zuckerberg, Meta layoffs memo, success isn't a given in the AI era. So you've got Amazon, Meta, you've got all of these big tech companies laying off tens of thousands of people. And that's why it's so weird. You know, these numbers that we get from the government, who knows? But if you look at what's actually going on in the private sector, if you look at what's actually going on with some of the biggest, richest corporations out there, Amazon, Meta, these are the billion-dollar companies, trillion-dollar companies, they're laying off tens of thousands of people. Americans are losing their jobs at the biggest, most rich companies in the country. And it's all the big tech people that now support Trump, by the way. Zuckerberg, Bezos, they all support Trump now. How ironic is that? Maybe that's a sign. So now they're just telling you, AI is taking your job. You think that's popular? Do you really think running on more AI and more data centers is a popular issue, a winning issue? It's not. And this phenomenon of people in tech losing their jobs to AI is only going to get worse. And they were told it wouldn't happen. We were told it wouldn't go this way. Ex-Meta worker warns of more firings to come, despite Zuckerberg pledge that the bloodbath is over. They say they need therapy. Oh, boy. A freshly axed Meta employee warned that yet another round of cuts will follow Wednesday's brutal layoffs in the months ahead, despite assurances from CEO Mark Zuckerberg that this year's bloodbath is over. Yeah, they're all liars. Oh, learn to code. Nope, the AI is going to be coding for you too. So these are losing issues. The Republicans are going to eat the big L on these issues. They're going to give the Democrats the opportunity to win and run on these issues. But I am wondering what's going to happen. If there's any Republicans out there willing to break ranks with Trump, which I think there will be, maybe not yet. They'll probably have to wait till after the primaries because nobody wants to be primaried by Trump. So after the primaries, you might start to see Republicans break from Trump, especially since he becomes more unpopular and the issues that he is forcing upon the country are more unpopular. So maybe there's some signs of it today. Maybe there's some signs of it. Now, I've always said I think Josh Hawley out of Missouri is a very strong presidential candidate. And please understand, this is not about my opinion. Please do not mistake my reporting for opinion. You might not like Josh Hawley. You might have all of your issues with Josh Hawley. This isn't about you. Josh Hawley is a very strong presidential candidate, whether you like him or not. And I see signs of Hawley having really good political instincts. I mean, you just have to be realistic here, folks. You're never going to have a perfect politician. And for the most part, you're going to have to accept that most of your politicians are bought and paid for by the Israel lobby. These are just the facts of life. We don't like it. We want to stop it. We'll call it out. We'll try to fix it. But that's the fact of life. Josh Hawley has good political instincts. And Josh Hawley will be a very strong presidential candidate should he determine that he wants to run. So this isn't about you liking him or not. This is just a fact of the matter. And I think Hawley is starting to see some of these issues, and he does not want to end up on the wrong side of them, specifically when it comes to AI and data centers. He was asked a question about this from the press. Here's what he said.
I wanted to ask you about artificial intelligence. College graduates have been booing AI at their ceremonies this week, whether it's reading it out or they're just booing every mention of AI. What do you make of that?
Well, I make of it the fact that a lot of these college grads don't have jobs. You know, I was talking to a group of college grads recently, college seniors actually, and they were giving me very similar sentiments about AI. They were saying that they can't find jobs, that, you know, like 30-40% of them are unemployed, and they blame AI for this. And, you know, I mean, they may well be right. We've got to make some choices about AI to make sure it actually is good for the American workforce. And I think a lot of these college grads don't think it will be.
It seems like big tech is really implementing their ways here. More data centers are popping up, and as that happens, it seems jobs for college grads are going down. I mean, what can you do about it?
Well, I think we've got to go in the opposite direction. We want to see new technology create jobs, not destroy jobs. And this is why we ought to pass legislation right now that would require these tech companies to turn over the data on how many jobs they're creating or how many jobs they're destroying. We ought to collect that data from all across the workforce. And then we ought to make sure that AI is getting implemented into these workforces in a way that actually creates jobs and gives rights to workers and doesn't take them away. So in my state, I can also tell you people do not want data centers. I mean, it's just in town after town in Missouri, people are showing up at these meetings, county commissioner meetings, the public utility board meetings, and are saying, please don't put a data center in our community. I think elected officials need to listen to that.
So here are the signs, and I've got more of them coming up, but you're starting to see the signs this session. Republicans realize data centers, AI, not popular. They might not be able to break ranks with the Trump administration or AIPAC on Middle East foreign policy, but they can and likely will break ranks on AI, surveillance state, and data centers. And I think Howley is ahead of the curve on this. And this is kind of what happens a lot in Republican Party politics. Trump is actually a great example. Most Republicans in politics are such cowards that they won't do anything until somebody else does it, and then they see if it works or not. So if Howley starts to stump against AI data centers, you're going to start to see other Republicans do it as well. That's just how Republican Party politics works. But the signs are there. The signs are there to me that members of the Republican Party in the House and Senate, mostly the Senate, strangely enough, are ready to break ranks with Trump. And as far as the issues, they're going to be the biggest issues of this election, AI data centers and Middle East foreign policy. It looks like some of the Republicans are starting to look at the AI data centers and saying, I got to take a stand against this if I'm going to win an election. So this could become a messaging issue for Trump because he's not going to break ranks with this. He's fully owned by the big tech lobbyists. So he's going to do their bidding on this issue. And he was asked about AI. Here's what he said.
Message to American families who are scared by the rise of AI. They're worried that their kids are not going to be able to have jobs someday because AI will
I'll tell you, AI has been amazing because right now we have more jobs, more people working right now in the United States by far than we ever had before.
So both of those things are just total bullshit. I mean, that's just Trump just totally bullshitting you.
And outside of the war, and I assumed the economy was going to go down, the stock market would go down 20-25%.
So there's Trump admitting that he knew this was going to hurt the economy, and he did it anyway for Israel.
It's actually up. The stock market is higher now than it was before I started the Iran situation. And
I mean, guys, this guy's such a clown. It's ridiculous what a clown he ended up being. It's funny because we all know about the Dow is at 50,000. The Dow is at 50,000. You can thank Pam Bondi for that. Well, it's not anymore.
Well, in the Iran, I had no choice because they were going to have a nuclear weapon. We're not going to give them a
More complete and utter bullshit.
nuclear weapon. But that's going to end soon, one way or the other.
He's been saying that for 2 months.
Oil is going to come tumbling down. There's
He ran on lowering gas prices. They're up.
so much oil. We have 1,600 ships in the strait that are loaded up with oil that are going to be coming out very soon. So we'll have to see. But the military has been unbelievable. The blockade has been infallible. Not one ship has gotten through the blockade. 37 have tried.
So it's open. It's closed. It's open. We're opening it. We're closing it. It's just this guy is such a clown. It's unreal. He has zero tether to reality anymore. President Trump has zero tether to reality or truth anymore at all.
They all wish they didn't.
Can you tell us about your call with Erdogan?
But notice he avoids the issue with AI and data centers, and he just tells you how great the war is, which is also extremely unpopular. So, unreal stuff. Absolutely unreal stuff. Here's what we mentioned earlier. Democrat darling showered with Marion Adelson-linked money. A group funded by Adelson was the biggest donor to James Tallarico's campaign last year. So congratulations to all of you Ed Gallerin fans. Congratulations to all of you neocons and brainwashed MAGA cult members, congratulations. The guy that you just voted for is being funded by the same people that are funding all the big Democrat Senate races. Good for you guys. Way to go. I say good job, MAGA. Way to go. You guys are officially the brainwashed stooges of the Uniparty. You officially do the bidding of the Uniparty and the donor class. You are the useful idiots. You are the sheep. And I say congratulations. So I'm just curious, are you going to be voting for Tallarico too? Because you voted for Galrain, and the same people that fund Galrain fund Tallarico. So are you guys going to be campaigning and telling people to vote for Tallarico too? Or how is that going to go? My guess is you're completely unaware of any of this, because if you were, you might not be so stupid. Isn't it amazing? Isn't it amazing? Thomas Massie introduces legislation to make Israel register with FARA, make AIPAC register with FARA, and then Israel lobbyists spend tens of millions of dollars to unseat Thomas Massie. Amazing, isn't it? I guess Thomas is lucky that they didn't, put a bullet through his neck, but not that that's happened before. But I guess, at least Massie can be happy that that's not the case. Or, put a bullet through his head from, when he's in a motorcade. Not that that has happened before either, but just saying. Just in case it was a certain potential, I guess Massie can be glad that's not what happened. But it's pretty incredible. And I just want you also to recognize they're going to play this game. They play it every time Israel gets exposed as owning our government. And they put these fake numbers up. They say, "Oh, look at the foreign aid. Look at who spends the most money." And they have like China and all these other countries. Folks, do not fall for that propaganda slop. And if somebody is going to try to make the argument that any other country is spending more on American politics than Israel, which is such a pathetic claim to make, just such a sellout, brainwashed claim to make, there's two things you have to understand if you want to respond to this stuff. First of all, the fact that AIPAC and the Israeli lobby, they don't have to register for FARA. So the reason why Israel isn't on that list is because they don't have to register with FARA. So their numbers aren't even calculated. And secondly, I would love to actually see an itemized receipt. If you're going to claim that Chinese lobbyists and loyalists are spending all of this money in U.S. politics, which I'm not even denying, I'm saying, let me see an itemized receipt, because we know where Israel spends the money. Everybody can sit here and track AIPAC and see where Israel is spending the money. See that 98% of congressional seats are owned by AIPAC. We can all watch Israel money pour in to a Kentucky race and buy a congressional seat. We can watch Israel money pour into a St. Louis race and buy a congressional seat. We can watch Israel money pour into a New York City race and buy a congressional seat. We can all sit here and watch that and look at the itemized receipts. You can't do that with any other country. And I challenge somebody to do so. I challenge somebody to show me itemized examples of China or Qatar or any of these people pouring money into a House or Senate seat to flip a result for a pro-Israel candidate or a pro-China candidate or a pro-Qatar candidate. These things don't even exist. And it's insulting. It's insulting and it's embarrassing. And quite frankly, it exposes you. The biggest liars today in American politics are Israel loyalists. You're bigger liars than liberals. Israel loyalists are bigger liars than liberals. If you're going to try to insult me by pretending like Qatar or China has more influence and gets more benefits from our Congress, you're insulting me. And how can I trust anything you ever say again if you're going to be that big of a liar? If you're going to piss in my face and call it rainwater, sorry, you're worse than a liberal. We do see some Republicans breaking ranks with Trump on the DOJ anti-weaponization fund. It's unbelievable that Trump is going to blow this too. I'll get to why I say that in a second. This is Tom Tillis, and he's always kind of been wishy-washy on Trump, but he's still in there, and he has his congressional soapbox to say these things on, and I suspect more Republicans are going to be saying similar things.
I think it's stupid on stilts.
Why?
Because it will invariably put us in a position where your taxpayer dollars and my taxpayer dollars could potentially compensate someone who assaulted a police officer, admitted their guilt, got convicted, got pardoned, and now we're going to pay them for that? That's absurd. The American people are going to reject this out of hand. When you take money from me to give to a purpose that I vehemently disagree with, that's tyranny, and that's what that account is. I think it's stupid on stilts.
Now, we've got more of this. So actually, let me get through the clips, and then I'll tell you why I think Trump blew this so badly. It's just so bad. So that was Tom Tillis. This is Brian Fitzpatrick. Now, Tillis, he's never really been a friend of MAGA. Tillis has never really been a friend of ours anyway. So I'm not surprised what Tillis says there. But the problem is now Trump is opening himself up to this criticism from Republicans, and it's not going to hit like it used to. Now, this is Brian Fitzpatrick. So Trump now wants to campaign against Brian Fitzpatrick, by the way. Fitzpatrick barely won his House race in Pennsylvania. So if Trump decides he's going to throw Fitzpatrick under the bus, 100% a Democrat wins that seat. I bet everything on it. If Trump tries to oust Fitzpatrick, Democrats win that seat 100%. But here's what Fitzpatrick said about the anti-weaponization fund.
What do you make of this $1.7 billion fund for
bad news? We're going to try to kill it.
You're going to try and kill it?
Yep.
Wow. Okay. And how?
Well, we're considering legislative options. We're going to write a letter to the AG to start, but we're considering a legislative option.
Okay.
We're trying to unpack exactly, what the legal machinations are, but can't do that.
Right. And have you ever heard of any other Americans, other than Trump as an associate?
I haven't. I've not.
Who are unauditable by the IRS?
I've never heard that before.
Okay. So would that be part of the legislative?
Of course.
Okay.
Of course. Yeah, you can't do that.
Got it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Congressman.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Congressman, what do you?
So that second part is, Trump is trying to exempt himself and his family forever from the IRS, which is unreal. I've got a couple more things on this, but let me explain why this is such a massive failure and why this is one thing that Trump could have won on and just decided to blow it entirely. I don't know why it's this issue that is getting so much negative attention right now, the anti-weaponization fund. Maybe it's Trump exempting himself and his family from any IRS ever. Maybe, like Tillis said, they don't want a fund to pay restitution to the victims of weaponized government. And maybe there's a mixture of both. And look, it's all fair, quite frankly. I think it's all fair. This is the one thing that Trump could have done and could have done right and could get right and could win back potentially, at least to some degree, the support that he's lost from original MAGA. And instead of making it about the victims of the weaponized government, instead of making it about righting the wrongs of all the American patriots and Trump supporters that got indicted, thrown in prison, censored even, all the wrongs that were done to Americans for supporting Trump from the federal government, we could have actually had a fund that focused on that and tried to right these injustices. Now, whether this ends up resulting in arrests of the deep state, arrests of the criminals that did it, maybe that's another issue. But Trump could have taken this fund and said, we are going to look into the injustices that were done to my supporters, and we're going to try to find a way to restitute this. And if we need to do investigations onto the corruption of the weaponization of the government, then we will do that. But I'm not going to take the $10 billion settlement from the IRS, which even that is going to draw some questions here. I'll explain in a second. No, we're instead going to have this anti-weaponization fund We're going to try to make right the wrongs. Like, how about paying for all of our legal bills? How about paying for all the January 6th legal bills? And look, if you want to say not everybody deserves access to this fund, if you want to say if you broke a window or assaulted a police officer or there's something like that, and you don't get access to this fund, I think that would be acceptable. I don't think people would complain about that. That would be fine with me. But how about all of the legal fees that January 6th defendants that didn't do anything wrong that day had to pay? How about all of the time that January 6th defendants had to sit in prison, missing the birth of their children, missing the death, the funeral of family members, unable to work? You could right this wrong with this anti-weaponization fund and potentially, if you wanted to take it a step further, investigate, and this should be happening anyway, investigate the deep state criminals that weaponized the government against their political opposition. And yet it seems like there's no desire for that. There's no interest in that. And that's not even what this thing is about. And now what Trump has done, or whoever, his attorneys who work for the DOJ now, they've decided instead of using the anti-weaponization fund to right the wrongs of Trump supporters by the Biden administration, instead he decided to use that to exempt himself and his family from the IRS. What is that? So now it's going to fail. The one opportunity you had to build some bridge with your original supporters, the one opportunity you had to try to right the wrong, and let's be fair, Trump getting everybody out of prison, 100%, A+. Thank you, President Trump. I will never regret voting for Trump simply for that issue, and he is due credit there. I've always said that. Didn't really affect me, by the way, but it's not about me. Because I love this thing. Oh, Trump got you out of jail. Trump did this. Trump did that. I already did my prison time. I already finished my probation, jackasses. So my pardon was virtually just symbolic, which again, I thank President Trump for that. And I always will. So Trump does deserve that credit. And I will never regret voting for Trump because of that. I would have friends that are still rotting in prison today. But if we're going to admit, and this is Trump who is a victim of this as well, if we're going to admit that they weaponized the government illegally against Americans, then why aren't people going to jail? And if we're going to start a fund to try to right the wrongs of the victims of this weaponization of government, why did we decide to make it about putting the Trump and his family above the law? Because now it's going to get shut down and nothing is going to happen, and these wrongs will not be righted. I don't get it. I don't get it. It seems like intentional sabotage. It seems like intentional sabotage. And I don't even care about the money. I mean, of course, would I love to get restitution for my time in prison? Would I love to get restitution for all of my legal bills? Of course. Of course. But that's not what it's about for me. If I had the option of getting my legal fees paid for and getting restitution for my prison time versus putting the deep state criminals in prison, I'll put the deep state criminals in prison 10 out of 10 times. Don't even give me a nickel. I'd put the deep state prisoners in there 10 out of 10 times because I don't do this for money. I'm a true believer that we need to do something to save this country or it's done. And I used to think Trump was the same way. That was the mutual thing we were all in on, and looks like he's no longer with us. So I just wonder, whose idea was it to put that in the anti-weaponization fund? Whose idea was it to say that Trump is exempt and his whole family is exempt forever? They're above the law. Whose idea was that? Because that is going to kill this. That is going to completely end any potentials of righting these wrongs. I just don't get it. I just don't get it. Here's a little bit more information on this. This is what corruption looks like when hiding in plain sight. And this is actual text here from the lawsuit. The DOJ published a press release entitled Anti-Weaponization Fund. Buried in it is a hyperlink, a document where the United States permanently surrenders all legal claims against Trump, his family, and his companies. The next day, a separate one-page addendum was quietly added, signed by Trump's former personal defense lawyer, now acting attorney general. That's Todd Blanche. That's Trump's personal lawyer, who's now the acting attorney general. It barred the IRS from auditing Trump permanently and forever. I went looking for the link today, and 2 of the 3 DOJ links are gone. They have been deleted. They signed it, and then they buried it, and then they deleted it. Folks, that is pure corruption. And I just think it's sad that what was once a principled movement, MAGA, what was once a principled and consistent movement politically and logically, MAGA, it's all gone. Everybody listening to my voice right now knows if the Biden crime family, if Joe Biden on his way out of the White House tried to pass a bill or a legal stature that the Biden family is above the law, cannot be audited ever, and a full permanent pardon of anybody in the Biden family. Everybody listening to this right now knows if Biden did that, every single person in MAGA would be going crazy. Every single person in MAGA would be screaming, calling for arrests, calling it corruption. But when Trump does it, they don't say a damn word. And that exposes who they are now. They're phonies. They're brainwashed cultists that do not have any consistency, any principles, any standards. If Biden does one thing, it's bad. If Trump does the exact same thing, they don't even say a word. Not me. Never going to be me. And maybe that's the big mismeasurement. And I blame, if this is the mismeasurement that was made by Trump, ironically enough, that's because of the brainwashed loonies. Because there are so many cult members of supporting Trump now, and we all know who they are. They are literally cult members. They don't have any policies. They don't have any politics. They just support Trump no matter what. These are the brainwashed cultists. I think Trump assumed that that's how everyone that supported him would feel. Because the brainwashed cultists of MAGA are so extreme in their commitment to Trump, so captured and brainwashed by this MAGA cult, I think Trump assumed that everyone in MAGA would treat this the same way. And Trump's mismeasurement was not realizing, no, most of original MAGA, most of Trump's original support base, we are actually principled Americans. We are not loyal to a party. We are not loyal to a politician. We are loyal to our principles. And we will hold these same standards, whether there's an R behind your name, a D behind your name, or anything else. Whether your name is Trump or Biden, we hold the same standards. And that's Trump's biggest mismeasurement. And I think the chickens are about to come home to roost in the midterms. A little bit more on this. It's from a trial lawyer, Mitch Jackson. Fun fact for the $10 billion lawsuit crowd, the IRS leak that exposed Donald Trump's tax returns happened between August 2019 and November 2020. In other words, when Trump was in office. 405,427 other American taxpayers were also leaked. Trump was president. His own pick, Charles Rettig, ran the IRS. The contractor who did it, Charles Littlejohn, worked on a Trump-era IRS contract and is now serving 5 years in a federal prison. By the way, who else is that news to? On January 29th, 2026, Trump sued the IRS and the Treasury for $10 billion over a breach that happened on his watch under his commissioner by a contractor he paid. He is suing the federal government he ran for failing to stop a leak that occurred while he was running it. The taxpayer foots the bill either way. This is incredible information. This is incredible corruption. Now, let's treat all things equal. Forget about, for a second, for the sake of this argument, forget about the fact that these leaks happened while Trump was president. Forget about the fact that these leaks happened when Trump people were running the IRS. Let's just forget about that for a second, because maybe you can disconnect these things. Maybe they're connected to the president. Maybe they're connected to Trump. Maybe there's a plausible deniability there. But let's push that aside. This is where it's ridiculous. How is it that Trump gets a decision for $10 billion because his tax returns were leaked, but the 405,000 Americans who were a victim of the exact same leak, why didn't they get a $10 billion settlement? Why is it you had 405,428 Americans that had their taxes leaked, but only one of them gets a $10 billion settlement? And that one just so happens to be the president, who was the president when the leak happened and who's the president now that he's getting a $10 billion settlement. Somebody explain that to me. Why is it that the other 405,000 Americans, why aren't they entitled to the same $10 billion that Donald Trump is entitled to? Somebody explain that to me. Because to me, that sounds like complete and total corruption. And I would love to sit here and say, well, this is Trump being the bigger man. I'd love to sit here and say, this is Trump being the bigger man and saying, I'm not going to take the $10 billion. Instead, I want to make an anti-weaponization fund so that we can dole this money out to my supporters that were put in prison, put through lawfare and everything else to try to right these wrongs. I'd like to think that's Trump being the bigger man and doing the right thing. But then we find out the entire thing is about exempting Trump from the law. The entire thing is about making Trump above the law. And the very standard that even got us to the point of the anti-weaponization bill was only held to Donald Trump and not the other 405,000 Americans that were a victim of the exact same leak. Somebody explain that to me. And I would love, I wish, I don't know if Mitch Jackson, this guy's a lawyer who's reporting this, maybe he should do it. Somebody should make the case that if Trump is entitled to $10 billion for the leaks, so are 405,000 other Americans. But look at Trump bailing out the federal government. Look at Trump bailing out the IRS. How do you like that? Trump is now more supportive of the IRS than he is of you, the average American. Okay, that's, how do you like that? The ballroom, guys, we're not getting good news on the ballroom today. So Trump wants to run against Cassidy now too. So I'm telling you, this whole thing is breaking apart, folks. This whole thing is just breaking apart. This whole thing is crashing down to the ground. And Republicans, I'm telling you, it's not going good. So now you have another Republican who's going against Trump, which you wouldn't have thought would have happened a couple months ago. Now it's becoming more popular. The ballroom, guys, not happening.
There's no architectural plans. There is no environmentals. There's no engineering. There's no sense of, when we ask, how did it happen to cost exactly $1 billion? In my mind, that is, it could cost a lot less. It could cost a lot more. I just don't get it. There's no architectural plans. There is no environmentals. There's no engineering.
Folks, this ballroom thing is getting bad. Right now, it's just a giant hole in the ground, and they have no clue. Nobody has any clue. And now they're kind of having to come out with some facts about it. It's like, yeah, the ballroom was just a disguise. We really needed to build some bunker, whatever it is that they're building under the ballroom. That's what this project was really about. The ballroom was just a disguise, just a distraction. So then they had to come clean about that, which is why they were asking for $1 billion. So they're asking for $1 billion. And keep in mind, when you see these Republicans that are now going against the ballroom, you have to understand, they were all for the ballroom. Remember, they had the shooting at the Correspondents' Dinner, and immediately after that, the entire Republican Party came out in support of the ballroom. And with the momentum of that and with the attention on that, the Trump administration said, hey, by the way, we need an extra $1 billion. And they were all for it. They didn't even blink. They said, oh, you're right. We need the ballroom. Just a shooting happened. Okay, we need $1 billion. It's fine. So they were all on board. But they had to deliver some facts. They had to deliver the structural plans, the engineering plans, the environmental plans. Like, okay, we'll give you $1 billion, but can you show us the bill? Like, can you give us the bill here? Can you show us what it is we're funding and where it's going and what we need and all this stuff? And the White House said, no, sorry, just give us $1 billion. We don't have to show you anything. And so naturally, the Republicans that supported it are saying, well, I mean, I would support it, but there is no it. We don't know what it is. Hey, can I have $1 billion? Okay, what do you need it for? Sorry, can't tell you. Well, folks, I'm telling you. I predicted it months ago. I think it's about to happen. I'm telling you right now, they're all going to turn on Trump. And I warned for months that this would happen. I warned for months that if Trump thinks these people are going to go and fight for him, and if Trump thinks these people will go to political warfare for him, he is making a horrible mistake. And I think it's about to happen. The ballroom, the anti-weaponization fund, if this war doesn't end soon, even the data centers, everyone is going to turn on Trump. Now, the big concern is, what does Trump do in that moment? Does Trump's ego take over and he just becomes more unhinged and more totalitarian? Or does he finally have a moment of humility and re-strategize and reconsider some things? And maybe I'm asking these questions and it's extremely naive because he has no option. He has no option. He's already bought and paid for by these groups, and it doesn't matter. And he doesn't have to get elected again anyway. But he probably thought, and I'm thinking more about this, and we're about to get a clip on the Trump stock trades. I think that Trump probably thought that he really could make himself above the law. And whatever is going on with these stock trades, he probably thought he could block the government from ever looking at it. And that's why they put it into this bill. So to me, I think the Trump family is actually a little panicked. I think the Trump family knows that whatever they did with these stock trades, there could be some potential criminality there. And so they want to exempt themselves from any investigations, and that's why they put it in the anti-weaponization bill. I don't think the Trump family wants you to know how much money they've made on insider trading in the last year and a half. I don't think Donald Trump wants you to know that he and his family have made more money now than any other president while they were president in the history of this country. And I think they're trying to block the federal government from getting access to these numbers, and that's why they hid it in the Anti-Weaponization Act. But Republicans see it now. And they see Trump's not popular anymore. And they're backing off. And these questions aren't going anywhere. And Senator Tuberville wants to remain loyal to Trump. Tell me if you think this goes well. Senator Tuberville asked about Trump stock trades, and tell me if you think this response works.
So, Coach, what do you make? I got to ask. Donald Trump, 3,700 stock trades in the first quarter of this year. What do you make of that?
Donald Trump, 3,700 stock trades.
Yeah, in the first quarter of this year, it's like every 9 minutes and 45 seconds a trade. I know it's not him personally doing that, but
Exactly. And I do the same thing. I never look at my stocks. He does the same thing. You give it to somebody who knows what they're doing. That's how this country runs. People have jobs. Give them your money. If you want to invest in the country and corporations, that's what we all do. I get sick and tired of hearing Republicans and Democrats say, we need to stop all this trading. If you're inside trading, you need to stop. But I guarantee you, President Trump's not inside trading. I'm not inside trading. And it's ridiculous even people bring that up. Most people that bring it up don't have a clue what they're talking about.
Got it. Coach, who's going to win the World Cup?
World Cup? Oof.
I don't care. Do you guys, does that message works? Does that message work for you guys? Hey, everybody has stocks, but we have no idea. We don't look at them. Is that working for anybody? Now, let's give fair coverage here. What Tuberville is saying here could be true. I'm not saying he's lying. What Tuberville is saying here is not, I don't think he's lying. I think at least as far as he understands the situation, he's not insider trading and Trump isn't insider trading. I think he really believes that. But you know what? Unfortunately for him, it doesn't matter what he believes. What matters is what the American people believe. And the American people are not going to believe that. They're just not. And the pushback that we see from Congress on banning them from trading stocks is pretty alarming. And I find it even funnier, and I don't know if it's fair to give Tuberville too much of a too much trouble, but he says, oh, well, if you're doing insider trading, you need to stop. What? How about if you're doing insider trading, you need to go to jail? What do you mean you need to stop? You need to be arrested. So I don't know if it's fair to give him too much trouble for that, but I will say that was a little concerning. That to me sounds like, hey, yeah, we are doing insider trading, but we don't want to go to jail. I hope you don't catch us. Imagine, here's the Republicans that used to rail against Nancy Pelosi and her success in the stock market. And now they're telling you it's all fine and good and Trump should be totally exempt from anybody looking at his trades. Here's the MAGA Republicans that complain about how rich Obama got when he was in office, complain about how rich Biden got when he was in politics, and now Trump has made more money than both of them combined, and the Republicans say nothing. Isn't that interesting? I'm telling you, folks, all of these issues, they're all going the wrong way. For Trump, they're all going the wrong way for the Republicans, and it's all happening right ahead of the midterms. Here's another one. A $5 million donation from Big Tobacco preceded FDA vape decision. Reynolds American's contribution to MAGA Inc. came about 1 week before the Trump administration announced a new policy on e-cigarettes the company had sought. So that is literally pay for play happening in the Trump administration. And the Republicans that were originally gung-ho about the ballroom are now out. Ballroom won't be funded after Senate GOP drops $1 billion Trump security request. Folks, I'm telling you, these are signs that are not good. These are directional things happening, and they're all going against Trump and the Republicans right ahead of the midterms.
You're listening to the Owen Report on the Win Network.
It's the fastest 3 hours on the internet. It's the Owen Report with Owen Schroyer.
All right, third and final hour of today's transmission. I saw some of you conspiracy theorists in the chat today. Conspiracy theorizing about what's in my glass today. Yeah, we don't have the golden mug today. I was trying to race into studio. No, it was crash out. It was crash out energy in my glass today. So the conspiracy theorists, how did you get that one wrong? What do you think I'm drinking? Really? Obviously, I was drinking crash out energy. Crashout.energy, folks. The ratings are coming in hot. It is fantastic. I'm very proud. I should brag about it more. But I'm just going to humbly ask you to try it. Crashout.energy. You'll see. You'll see. All right. Man, I really need to try to pile drive through the rest of this news so we can get to the super chats. I got to get off at 7 because I got an interview tonight. So let's try it. Amaryllis Fox Kennedy, RFK Jr.'s daughter-in-law and Tulsi Gabbard's closest ally in the intelligence community, has resigned from 2 senior posts over disagreements with Trump's Iran war. So they keep dropping like flies, folks. The principled people inside of the administration keep dropping like flies. It's not a good sign. Not a good sign. Let's see. Oh, we got another Trump video here. Oh, this should be good. Oh, yeah. This message should be good.
Now prices are coming way down. Gasoline is less than $2 in some states. $1.99, $1.97, $1.95 a gallon. $1.95. Think of that. A gallon. Nobody ever thought they'd see that. They don't want to talk about that. They want to talk about Epstein. Now prices are coming way.
I think that is not true anywhere. You have to wonder when Trump says that gas is under $2 a gallon. You have to ask, is he that big of a liar or is he really that out of touch with reality? And both could be true. Both probably are true. But in this instance, do you think Trump is just blatantly lying or do you think he really has no freaking clue? I mean, that's such a ridiculous lie. That is such a ridiculous thing to say. Oh, we don't want to talk about low gas prices. We want to talk about Epstein. First of all, gas prices aren't low. They're up. And secondly, yeah, you're damn right. We want to know what the hell was going on at Pedophile Island. And we want those that were involved in such activities to be investigated thoroughly. And we want to know what was going on with Epstein's relationships to the intelligence network. And you are now the cover-up artist of that. So yeah, we will talk about that actually. And we will talk about that forever, by the way. That will be part of your legacy forever. That will be part of the MAGA legacy forever. Covering up Epstein Island. You did that, not us. But gas is not $2 a gallon. That is an unbelievable lie. Speaking of Epstein Island, we got Howard Lutnick in there. He's not going anywhere, apparently. He's linking up with Nick Shirley. It's time to stop rampant fraud once and for all. Thanks to Nick Shirley for exposing this issue and bringing it directly to the American people. And there's Nick Shirley and Howard Epstein Island Lutnick. I don't want to assume anything about Nick Shirley. And I'm not even sure it's fair to assume anything about Nick Shirley. I'd like to think he's a good person, a genuine person, and not just a plant. But after everything we've seen with Nick Shirley's rise, how can you not think he's totally a plant? And I'm sorry, Nick, if you hear this, consider this a bit of advice. When you go from nothing to being promoted by the political parties, by the federal government, into hearings, into the White House, and then you do lead recon before the administration goes into Cuba or other parts of the world, you're starting to look like a plant. I don't want to believe that about Nick. And I, outside of the circumstantial evidence, we can't make any conclusions, but the circumstantial evidence right now does not look good for Nick Shirley. And at the very least, I have to assume that he's not very bright if he thinks posing for a picture with Howard Lutnick is a good thing, because now that stuck with you forever, bro. Howard Epstein Island had intel on 9/11 Lutnick, and you're smiling with him being promoted by him. This is the worst look of your career. So whatever reason you get favorable treatment on exposing fraud, whatever reason you go into these parts of the world before the CIA does, whatever reason your rise to popularity, whatever all of that is, you getting a picture with Howard Lutnick just destroyed your credibility. And that's what is going to stick forever. And now all you have is the establishment. Now, some people are theorizing that this is Nick Shirley who was promoting Tyler Oliveira, and this is the administration bringing him in as, tightening the reins and saying, hey, you don't do that. You don't promote Tyler Oliveira. And as long as you remain with us and not with the independent media, we can make sure that you'll be a household recognizable name. And of course, that sounds like a good offer, but you don't understand what you've done to your reputation. Now, some people do it for money. I don't know if that's Nick's case. So they don't really care what their reputation is as long as the status of their bank account is rich. But to not have the wherewithal to realize posing with Howard Lutnick is a career destroyer. You are now going to be affiliated with 9/11 Inside Information, and you are now going to be affiliated with Epstein Island because of this picture. And I can't believe you did not have the wherewithal to not do it. And I'll just say this. There are a lot of independent journalists right now who are faced with a similar situation. They are being granted the opportunity to get the access. They are being granted the opportunity to get the access, to get the mainstreaming and platforming and everything else that comes with it. A lot of independent journalists. Now, this is my sphere. And a few of them have came to me and asked what I thought. And I told them my honest opinion. I said, look, first of all, one of the few freedoms that you still have in life is the ability to make your own decision. So you need to make the decision. But since you're asking for my advice, I would say this. I certainly would understand why, if this is the career path that you're taking, I certainly would understand why you would want the access and the mainstreaming and platforming. Certainly understand why, and I wouldn't even necessarily hold that against you. But you need to know, as soon as you take that position, you will no longer be considered independent media. As soon as you take the offers to get mainstreamed and platformed and all the access, you will never be considered one of us ever again. You will never be considered an independent journalist. You will never be considered a man of the people. As soon as you do that, it's over. Make your own decision, but you need to know the consequences of the decisions that you make. So, yeah, you could take it and probably be more rich, more famous, a life of decadence and access, prestige. But you will lose us. You will lose the people, and they will look at you differently, and you will never be welcome back. And that's not me, because I'm not as much like that. I'm just saying that's going to be the interpretation. That's the interpretation. And so that's what Nick is now, that's what's happening to Nick. And if you go look at Nick Shirley on his social media and you look at the replies, see what they're saying. See what they're saying. And let's say Nick is as innocent and independent and organic as anybody else in the media. None of it matters now. None of it matters because they'll always remember him as Howard Lutnick, into the Trump administration, mainstreamed by all the corrupt establishment, and he will never be able to shake that. Whether he's truly organic and independent or not, that is how it's going to go down. But Nick isn't the only one. I will tell you that. Nick is not the only one. Did you guys hear about this? Ted Cruz spends $43,000 a month on food. That's $1,400 a day. When he's not sending your kids to die for Israel, he just eats and drinks 24/7. Just a big fat bitch of a man. That is Clint Russell's commentary. But no, the receipts dropped for Ted Cruz, and it is insane. It is insane. And I will tell you that when you look at the itemized receipts here, the Capitol Grill is not cheap. Okay. Ted Cruz is apparently eating at the most expensive restaurants every single day. Literally every single day. He's eating at the most expensive restaurants, sometimes multiple times a day. So that's why you see these $1,000 plus tabs on all of his meals, because he's going to the nicest restaurants, the most expensive restaurants. Even so, to spend $1,000 per meal, who are we feeding? Who are we feeding that costs $1,000 a day? So that's how our congressmen and women spend money, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to know. Some stuff happening outside of Israel. Another flotilla was floating near the Gaza Strip, and they got pelted and shot by the IDF. A lot of these images are coming out. I pull this one up. There's a bunch of them. A lot of the protesters that were on that flotilla ended up in a hospital. The IDF shot them, and they ended up in a hospital. And currently, and I think this is why they don't want any media. The reason I think the IDF is shooting at media is because they don't want this to be captured. Israel is building a new wall in Palestine. So forget about coin clipping. We're country clipping now. Coin clipping is a thing of the past. Now we're country clipping. So Israel is building a wall. They're basically taking about half of Palestine. This is just the beginning. They will eventually go all the way to the beachfront. They're just reestablishing a new line in the sand to refortify their military operations and refortify their military demolition. But they basically built a new wall, cutting Gaza in half, and they're getting ready now to completely demolish, and whoever is left will be removed from the area, and Israel will conquer it, and they're building a wall right now. And that's why I think they're shooting at media. I think they're shooting at the media because they don't want this caught on camera. The only way you can even see it right now is from satellite imagery. So any member of the media that is around the IDF is getting shot, and that's because they don't want you to see the new wall that they're building as they're clipping a country. The only way we have the images is from a satellite, which soon they'll probably blow that out of the air as well so that nobody can see what they're doing. It's funny because they say never again. They say never again, except the only people that are doing it again are the Israelis. Israeli Minister Ben-Gvir says, "We will treat Palestinians however we want. They are dogs and no one can do anything. We are God's chosen people." So now you have the Israelis acting as the Nazis and claiming one group of people is subhuman, and that gives them the right to imprison, torture, rape, and kill them. Isn't that what the Nazis did to the Jews? Isn't that what we're supposed to be saying never again? Aren't we considering the Holocaust the worst event in human history? And that's why we say never again. And now the only country on earth that behaves like the Nazis did, apparently, is Israel. The only country on earth that has the prominence that treats other humans as less than human and dogs is Israel. And you know, part of you actually has to appreciate it. As sad as it is that these demons view you as subhuman, and believe me, it's you. If they view the Palestinians as subhumans, they view you as subhumans. Let's be perfectly clear about this. People like Ben-Gvir and Mark Levin and their ilk, they view everyone as subhuman. They will rape and torture and imprison and murder anybody. Right now, it's just the Palestinians. Right now, it's just the Lebanese. Right now, it's just whatever Arabs are around them that they feel the need to kill, or any media that shows up. These are the modern day Nazis. And forget about whatever that means politically. There is only one place where it's, maybe you could say South Africa, but that gets condemned. But we're not really involved in that. We stand against that. There is only one place right now that actually behaves like this, that actually treats people as subhuman and brags about it, and that is Israel. And we're told that morally, this is who we have to support. Everything that you hear about Israel is a reverse reality. Everything. They say we have to kill every Arab, we have to kill every Palestinian, we have to kill everybody we want, every Muslim, because they're less human. And they justify that by saying, oh, they're trained to be terrorists since they're kids. This is what they claim is true about Arabs and Muslims, when it's actually only true, in this case, institutionally, in Israel. Here's your proof. Here is a bunch of young kids in Israel telling you that they're taught that killing Arabs is a good thing from a young age. Most of us here are guys whose views are extreme right. It's death to Arabs across the board. For me, a 5-year-old Arab is the terrorist of 20 years from now. Every Arab. So it's funny. They say that this is true about Muslims. It's true about Israelis. There is only one country on earth that behaves as Nazi Germany did. There is only one country on earth that is an ethno-nationalist state. There's only one country on earth where a people believe they're above you and God's chosen and you are subhuman. There's only one place on earth that institutionally teaches their youth to kill members of another race, and that country is Israel. And then you're told, this is the most immoral thing on the planet right now, and then you're told that if you don't support that, you're immoral. Oh, never again the Holocaust. And then the Israelis are Holocausting people. Oh, never again can we treat an entire group of people of subhumans. And then the Israelis are treating the entire world as subhuman. It's not Israeli. And then you're told that you're not moral if you don't support it. It's unreal. It's unreal. And I don't know how this whole thing ends, but it's not going to be good for anybody. I'll tell you that. And I will say, I do believe that if there was ever a serious move by the rest of the world to put Israel to heel, to stop Israel's influence and culture of death and war and destruction and the culture of everyone is subhuman but me, if there was ever a serious movement to stop that cancer on our planet, that cancer on humanity, if there was ever a serious movement to stop that, I do believe they would nuke the whole planet. I believe they would nuke the whole planet, or as much of the planet as they could, and that's why nobody ever stops them. And that's why they don't want Iran to have a nuke. Because Israel knows its true power. You know, a Muslim will run up with a suicide vest on and blow itself up and everyone else around it. Israel runs around with a suicide belt around its entire country and says, we'll blow up the entire planet. And that's why they don't want Iran to have a nuke, because Israel is the only country that wields nuclear weapons in such a way. Israel is the only country on earth that holds the entire world hostage with their nuclear weapons. And that's why they don't want anyone else to have them. How much of this do we want to get to? Beef prices, not good. Trump's inner circle is divided on his efforts to lower beef prices. Now he's halting his plans entirely. Internal disagreements over a White House plan to allow more beef imports highlights the president's challenge to balance the interests of consumers and the cattle industry. Yeah, well, you're crushing the country. And beef prices are almost record highs. It's just a disaster. But don't worry, Israel is getting what it wants. And it appears that's all this administration really cares about. America is getting roasted by beef prices. Protein-heavy dieters are booming just as cattle supplies hit record lows. Yeah, we're crushing the American beef industry. We're crushing American agriculture. The Trump administration is doing it. It's a total betrayal. It's bad for the economy. But hey, he's 99% popularity in Israel, and he already said he doesn't care about the American people, so I really don't know what we're surprised at. 27 bricks of cocaine wash up on Galveston Beach. Don't tell Hunter Biden. I wonder if this didn't float to Galveston after they blew up one of those supposed drug boats. I wonder. 27 bricks of cocaine. I mean, that's probably not cheap. What do you think this is worth? It's got to be. I wonder if they put a price in here. No, I don't see one. I mean, you'd think minimum 6 figures. So that's a nice chunk of blow there. I wonder if that didn't wash up from one of those boats that they blew up. Imagine finding that. Trump taunts Fox News reporter over lawmaker's fiance's voting record. Yeah, Trump is going after another Republican. That's Fitzpatrick. We heard from Fitzpatrick earlier. They're shutting down. He says that the Republicans are going to shut down Trump's weaponization fund. So Trump is going after Fitzpatrick now. That'll flip. That seat will flip. If Trump goes against Brian Fitzpatrick, that seat will flip Democrat. Bet on it. And it looks like that's what's going to happen now. So Trump doesn't care about the midterms. At this point, it's hard to even believe Trump cares about the country at all, quite frankly. So we'll see, but this is one that will flip. I don't think Kentucky flips. This seat will flip. President Trump directs warning to Representative Brian Fitzpatrick. Trump attacks Republicans more than he attacks Democrats. Trump attacks his own voters and his own supporters more than he attacks the deep state. And while I don't believe that the seat in Kentucky will flip, Gallerin will likely win that race against Strange, the Democrat. Fitzpatrick, if Trump goes against Fitzpatrick, then that seat will flip. That will seat to a Democrat. I believe it. Which, you know, no one here is endorsing the Democrats. I'm just telling you what's going to happen. Listen to this insanity from Karen Bass. I mean, the fact that you can even say this as a politician is nuts. She wants non-citizens to vote in elections. Listen to this.
Councilmember Hugo Soto Martinez, who has endorsed you, he wants to explore ways to let non-citizens vote in city elections. I know that there are some cities that already do this, but you know, politics is all about timing. With Donald Trump in the White House, is this the right time for Los Angeles to go down this path?
Well, I think we need to explore it. Now, I've not seen exactly what he's calling for. I have a little familiarity of what happens in other cities. And
we need to look into having non-citizens vote in our elections. Unbelievable. If Spencer Pratt doesn't win this race, I mean, we are so cooked. So cooked. Let me look at some other things here. I think we can put some of these off for tomorrow so that we can get to our super chats before we have to sign off today. Let's do here. Let me just mention this real quick because this went under the radar. This was over a year ago, by the way. This was immediately after Trump took office. How many of you were aware of this? I have to be honest, I was not. And then this was sent to me. White House will not release visitor logs during Trump's second term. What? The most transparent administration in history is not releasing visitor logs. This is the least transparent. I can't. Oh. What are we going to do, guys? What are we going to do? This isn't even about Trump. Trump is a politician. Trump is a lying politician. Nothing new there, right? Nothing new. Another president that lies to us, another politician that's corrupt. Okay, nothing new there. Whatever. This isn't even about Trump. I just cannot. What's depressing here is MAGA. What's depressing here is all the people that are still being fooled by this. Most transparent administration in history, they won't even release visitor logs. Folks, nobody does that. Everybody releases visitor logs. Everybody. Tell me. Tell me why the Trump administration would not be releasing visitor logs unless that is they have something to hide. Of course that's what it is. Least transparent administration in history. Won't tell you what's going on with the ballroom. Won't tell you the truth about what's going on with these wars. Won't tell you the truth about gas prices. Won't tell you who's coming into the White House. Whatever. Trump's a corrupt politician. Nothing new there. It's MAGA. It's the people that were supposed to be principled. It's the people that were supposed to have consistent logic and response to all this stuff that happens in politics, and they just don't hold Trump to the same standard. That's what's depressing. That's what's pathetic. MAGA is worse than Trump. Trump is just Trump. He's the president, whatever. It's MAGA that's so gross. It's MAGA that's so pathetic. It's MAGA that's been such a disappointment, even more so than Trump. A politician betraying us, nothing new. The American people betraying themselves, betraying their own logic, betraying their own friends, their own family, the country, that's what's pathetic, and that's what MAGA has become. So I can't believe that, but this was right after he got elected and inaugurated, so it was like we weren't really too keen to that this administration was going to be an utter betrayal. But there you go. Next time you hear Trump say most transparent administration in history, remember that they don't even release visitor logs. All right, couple Musk things, and then we'll get to the super chats. What is going on here? I will tell you, I don't know, so you have to look into it. But everybody knows the name George Floyd. How do you never hear the name Henry Nowak? Has anybody ever heard of Henry Nowak? Reuters stories on George Floyd, 1,087. Reuters stories on Nowak, 0. Now, my guess is, and Elon Musk says something is deeply wrong here. My guess is Reuters, anybody, any American news, probably you could have a similar result. George Floyd gets all the attention because he's black. Nowak gets no attention because he's white. Of course, we know Floyd died of a drug overdose. Nowak was stabbed to death by I guess an Indian man, a Sikh, in London. This is not a man that died from a drug overdose. This is not a man that was a career criminal. Stabbed to death, an innocent man doing nothing wrong, stabbed to death, and nobody talks about it. Not a big national news story, not a big international news story, and we all know why. All right, one last thing here from Elon Musk. You're not going to like this. You're not going to like this. You're probably not going to like my response. Elon Musk talking about brain chipping humans.
You know, I think some kind of brain machine interface that can give you cybernetic superpowers, I think, is probably good. It could, help people that have brain or spine injuries. Enable people who've never spoken for years to speak again, which we've done. Give people eyesight who have lost both eyes or the optic nerve, or maybe have never even seen at all, blind from birth. By direct interface to the optical centers in the brain, you can actually restore eyesight or give people eyesight that they've never had before. And you can enable people to walk again, which I think is profound. I mean, these are kind of Jesus level things, like, let's say, like, when technologies are hitting like Jesus level miracles, that's pretty good.
Now, I know this is probably my least popular thing with my audience. That's okay. We aren't in a cult here. We're okay with having disagreements. It's okay. Everything Musk says there is true. Now, that doesn't mean we have to like it. Obviously. I don't really have any desire to myself have a chip put in my brain. And I'm not so sure I would like to be around anybody that has a chip or becomes cybernetic either. I don't think I like that. Now, having said that, I do think it is an inevitable technology. Eventually, we will get to a point where we'll have some sort of a technology that can allow a paralyzed person to walk. We'll have some sort of a technology that can allow a blind person to see. We've already got a technology that can allow deaf people to hear. So this stuff is inevitable. Whether we like it or not, this stuff is inevitable. And you can hate Elon Musk for talking about it, or you can just accept that what he's saying is true. Now, I understand my audience doesn't like Elon Musk. And my approval rating of Elon Musk still remains above 50%. Well, I don't know, like 52, 53 right now. And I don't have to convince you. It's not even about that. And I don't think I could anyway. But I would just say my approach is like this. If the multi-billionaire class or the centi-billionaire class, if they were all more like Elon Musk and not like Bill Gates and Larry Ellison, I think we would have a better world. I think we would have a better world. So that's not necessarily an endorsement of Musk. Take it how you want. But I do think he's the only one that's telling you this is coming no matter what. So you don't have to like him. But I think what he says there is true. I do think this technology is inevitable, whether we like it or not. But you have to ask. I mean, it's a fair question. If you were blind and there was a technology that could allow you to see again, I mean, wouldn't you be at least curious? If you were paralyzed and there was a technology that could allow you to walk again, wouldn't you be at least curious? I think the problems that we have with this is it's not necessarily we don't want technology to help people. It's that we don't want technology to oppress humanity. And eventually we don't want this technology to overwhelm humanity and civilization to such an extent that we actually lose autonomy of this planet and we lose dominion over this planet. But this is the big, this is the big future of, what are we going to do with humanity? This is the big debate of the future. And one concern that many people have, I'm hearing this a lot, and we'll talk more about this tomorrow. When we look at these political cycles and we look at where the youth is at politically versus, say, boomers, and we don't like the way boomers vote, we don't like the political status that the boomers are about to leave us. We're concerned that the boomers are basically not even going to leave us with anything. We're not even going to have a country when the boomers' time of running this country is over. We're concerned there's going to be nothing left for us to even save. The concern is that, yes, Gen X and millennials are still probably 2 election cycles away from finally coming of age and getting the chance to run the country. Right now, the boomers still run it. Gen X, millennials, probably 2, maybe 3 election cycles away from coming of age and getting the chance to actually run the country. The concern is that AI and technology is going to advance at such a rate that by the time Gen Xers and millennials get the opportunity to run the country, we're going to be so oppressed and taken over by AI and robotics that we won't even get the chance because it's already going to be run by AI and robotics when we finally get our chance. And it could be a situation where it's impossible to remove. So that's kind of the real battle of the race against time and technology that we are currently in, I would say. Can the younger generations get the opportunity to run the country or save the country before the AI technocracy conquers us and we never get the chance? That's the question, because Trump is leading us right down that path. There's no denying it at this point. All right. Let's go, guys. Bring on the heat. Oh, no. Oh, no. I have a different opinion than you. Oh, my gosh. Come on. Don't be like that. Bring the heat. Let's hear it. Let's hear how dumb I am for my Elon takes. Let me have it in the super chats. We'll see. All right. Let's try to get through as much of these as possible. I'm going to try to get through all of them before we have to sign off here. Billy Cardano, did the impersonator give you your Facebook account yet? Super nice of you to give them the chance before going legal with it. I've been too busy today to address that. I've got, when I finish, I'm not going to be done working on air till about 8 or so. When I do finally get off air tonight, I'm going to reinvestigate that with producer DMT and see where we're at. Patrick Byrne saying Democrats are going to do Podesta plan this summer. Why would they interrupt Trump while he commits seppuku? Dust Vault. I would just disagree with Byrne on that. I don't think that's going to happen. They might be talking about it, but I don't think so. I think they understand Trump is destroying himself, and they're just going to let him do it, and they don't need to. They don't need to run the Podesta plan. So no, I don't think that's going to happen. It's a bigger threat that Trump is going to do something to shut the country down. The Trump administration shutting the country down like they did in COVID in 2020. The Trump administration shutting the country down is a way bigger threat than any Podesta plan. Moderate message. Massey and Romney as vice for 2028. Thoughts? Romney? No. And at this point, it's like, I guess Romney doesn't look as bad. But no, I think Romney is politically, that's a nothing. But Massey is going to be serious. Massey, if he wants to, can be a serious contender in 2028. Absolutely. We'll see if that's something he's interested in. But that'll be a serious contender. But I don't see Romney. I don't see how that works out. I'm so concerned about data centers, I might consider voting for one of them freaks. Yeah, well, that's how a lot of people are going to feel. JV Free. Data centers and AI equals new climate change. You're fools. Well, they're not making that claim. I guess they could be setting it up, but they're not making that claim yet. But imagine that. Then they're going to prioritize AI instead of humanity. And by the way, they're already doing this. Guys, I don't know what is going on. I know a PSYOP when I see one. If anything, Owen Schroyer does better than the rest, or the vast majority of people that do political talk like this, if there's anything that I can say I'm better than most at, it's identifying PSYOPs. There is a very weird PSYOP, and if you haven't seen it, you will. There is a very weird PSYOP that is now claiming that, hey, don't complain about AI data centers sucking up the water supply because the agricultural industry sucks up 10 times the water supply. You're comparing data centers to our food supply? That's your argument? We shouldn't eat? Can I eat a data center? What in the hell is that? Yes, I am seeing pro-data center propaganda. I am seeing pro-data center PSYOPs saying that, hey, don't complain about data centers taking water. Agriculture takes water. Yeah, that's called our food supply. Like the number one thing for survival? Unbelievable PSYOP on that deal. If you haven't seen it, you will. Cornelius Westernmost, you know how you might hear a new song and think it's okay, but then you hear it more and you love it? That's totally happening with the new Clown World theme song. Thank you. That's good. Obviously, that's me on the saxophone. You know, clearly I'm jamming out on the saxophone. I mean, come on. If the farm girl, if 2024's too big to rig taught us anything, it's that millions care because they see corruption. Charlie Kirk's Charlie Kirk's unaliving united both sides against our rat government. A united 2028 third party could gain millions in another too big to rig. You know, forget about conspiracy theories about Charlie Kirk's death. Watching what they've done to Charlie's name, legacy, and TPUSA since his death is despicable. TPUSA not going to bat for Thomas Massey says everything. TPUSA not being vocal against the Iran war says everything. TPUSA's silence on all the things that Trump is getting wrong is very telling. And so you can, discount all the conspiracy theories and trust the Fed narrative, whatever, but you need to understand the direction of TPUSA, and you could argue the right wing politically, since Charlie Kirk was shot, is so opposed to what Charlie stood for, it almost makes it more suspicious than anything else. Tucker told Israeli TV that they are terrorists. That was Israel 12 that invited him on there. Hey, I say good. I like it. I like anybody that can have a debate and disagree, but still platform people. I think that's what it's all about. So I say good for Israel 12. And they do a pretty decent job. I mean, you don't find this news. By the way, you don't find this news in Western media. If you want to find out what's going on in Israel or what's going on with the war, Israel media is more honest than American media. That's why I'm constantly pulling up Israeli sources here. The Israeli sources on this stuff are more honest than Western news. Deep implanting mandated daily. No pullout, Owen. All right, who's volunteering, guys? Line them up. The first month, the entire country was captivated with Doge revelations. That's true. It was glorious. That's true. They distracted us with all the Doge stuff and then shut it down. Good point. Another rug pull. JM Dog. What's your thoughts on DeSantis? He kissed the wall and signed laws. What's your thoughts on Fishback? Yeah, look, I understand the purists and anybody that kisses the wall, anybody that takes AIPAC money, you'll never vote for them. Perfectly fine. That's nothing. I'm going to disagree with you on that. It does get a bit difficult because they all do it. So it does get a bit difficult. Florida has signed all kinds of pro-Israel legislation, DeSantis as well. It's too bad, because DeSantis, I think, has some of the best political instincts. I think DeSantis is the best governor in America. And I think that DeSantis had the best response to all the COVID tyranny. And it's like he's number one on all of these different fronts, but then he goes and kisses the wall and is very pro-Israel. And it's just like people will not vote for him because of that. So I do anticipate DeSantis runs for president in 2028. I do anticipate that. We'll see what the Israel issue does to that campaign. I do anticipate he would run. I think that's a good thing. I keep seeing polls that Fishback is rising. Talk about the underdog, which is crazier is that now polls have the Democrat candidate beating Byron Donalds. Now, if Florida's governor goes blue, if that isn't the shock wave that will show what a disaster Trump is, I don't know if there's anything worse. Honestly, Texas winning a Senate seat and or Florida's governor becoming a Democrat. So if Texas Democrats win a Senate seat and Florida governor goes Democrat, or one of these two things happens, that is the loudest rebuke of Trump's administration that you will ever see. I think Florida might be worse. I think if a Florida governor is a Democrat, that shows you the damage that Trump has done to right-wing politics. So bad that Florida voted for a Democrat. Keep your eyes on that. Didn't they just arrest someone because they reported the water? They did. She was complaining about it on Facebook. I don't have all the details on that. I did see that, though. A woman posted about the water on Facebook and got arrested. A Trump endorsement is a curse now. Well, not in the primaries. Not in the primaries. A Trump endorsement in the primaries is a benefit. A Trump endorsement in a election where it's a Republican versus a Democrat, Trump is losing almost all of those. That's why Republicans, I don't know, I think there's been like 20 special elections since Trump got inaugurated. Democrats have won, I think, 18 of them. So that's not a good sign either. AOC doesn't understand water pressure. That's just rust and sediment every house has in their pipes. The DCs don't change the actual water. There's just no pressure from DC. Think hydrant flushing. Yep. I think you got to consider if there's not a little bit of propaganda there. But directionally, it wins. So they're going to do it. Did you see Leo Terrell's new antiseptic tour? I almost feel like this is intentional to get people upset. Yeah, it's so bad you got to wonder, It's so bad and it's so blatant. How can you not? Leo Terrell has to be the biggest cuck for Israel ever. Honestly. Leo Terrell, Mike Huckabee, Donald Trump. Who's the biggest cuck for Israel? I don't know. And it's like, okay. It's so pathetic, you can't help but reach one of two conclusions. It's so pathetic that you have to say, okay, what do they have you on video doing? What do they have you on video doing that you're out here like the biggest cuck I've ever seen in my life publicly. What do they have you on video doing? What is it? Or are you just that easily sold out? Are you just that brainwashed? But it's so ridiculous. It's like that's what happened with the Massey race. It's so obvious. How can you not see why Israel is less popular than ever? How can you not see that? Honestly, look, I don't know if anybody else will say this. And I don't know if that's because they don't see it or they don't have the same social life I have. Folks, I'm telling you, people on the left and people on the right politically, they are so, they don't even care. They don't even care if you're left anymore or right anymore. They are so sick of Israel and they are so sick of the Israeli lobby and they are so sick of the Middle East foreign policy. They don't care. If you stand against that, they will vote for you. They don't care if you're a Democrat. They don't care if you're a Republican, conservative, liberal, progressive, whatever. They do not care. Israel is so unpopular, and I'm being nice. The issue of Israel and the Israel lobby is so unpopular. Most Americans now would rather vote simply against Israel than on party lines. That is 100% fact, especially for people 50 and under. Maybe even exclusively for people 50 and under. I don't know if anybody else is saying this, but it's 100% true. Because I talk to people, I have people in my social circles, left, right, everything in between, and they all say the same thing. I could be on the left, I could be on the right. They don't care. Where do you stand on Israel? That's how unpopular this thing is. And that's how obvious it is, especially after the Massey race. How were you able to see that Holly was angling? You mean, how was I not able to see it? I'm not sure, but I mean, yeah, he's obviously angling. I think he wants to run for president, and he knows that AI and data centers are not popular. We can't forsake Derek Chauvin. He needs justice, the white whale. Yeah, that's true. An innocent man rotting in jail. Fishback against foreign influence and AI data centers. Yeah. And internet whores, too. I don't know if that's a winner, but yeah. It's some guy. He really believes in that 100% CNN poll. Who knows what he believes anymore, honestly? He doesn't even know what he believes. Massey could easily run as an independent in his district. I've got conflicting messages on that. Some people tell me he can't. Some people tell me he can. I don't know. I don't think it matters because I don't think he's going to do it. But it would be interesting. I think he's going to wait. I think he's going to see what he wants to do in 2028. The ruling class works to foment the divide. Try not to let them achieve their goals. The people need to unite against the real power players. True. Imagine if Dems voted for the J6 weaponization fund. Huh. I don't know what. What is this? The entire coalition is dangling right in front of them. That's true. They could sweep it up. They don't even have to try, though. PFF, I tuned in late. Don't know if you talked about the Cuba situation, but any thoughts on this? Thanks for the show. I'm unclear on the Cuba situation. I've been told we're on the ground right now running an operation, but I don't know. I really don't know. I'm a wait and see on that. I'm not too invested in it. I'm really indifferent on the whole thing. It's just more globalism. It's just Trump is a globalist president, and that's why we're invading however many countries and starting all these wars, because Trump is a globalist. But I'm more of a wait and see on that. I don't know enough. America is almost dead. We were bought and sold like cattle. Angstrom 1776. Feels like it's getting worse. Anna X. Owen, deep state arrests were never going to come. Starting to look that way. Fishback Harrison, Alex Stein at Joel Webben, November, Dallas. I saw that. It's like the Christ First event or something like that. I did see that. Benko, great show. Visiting my father in the St. Louis area. Have any top food places? Also, your pick for the Stanley Cup. Hawks are better than Blues. Well, the Blues have won the most recently, the Stanley Cup, since you want to go there. I picked the Avalanche to win the Cup. I actually picked the Avalanche to win the Cup before the playoffs started, so I got a good value on that. I've picked the Avalanche to win every series since the playoffs started, so that's been successful. They got caught last night a little flat-footed, and then they lost Cole McCarr. I don't know the status of that injury. If Cole McCarr is out, I think it's the Hurricanes. The Hurricanes are who I picked to win the East to start the playoffs, and I picked them to win every series. So I've been doing good on that. If McCarr misses more than 3 games, the Avalanche, I don't think they can get there without McCarr. And if they can get there without McCarr, they can't win it without McCarr. So with McCarr, I like the Avs. Without McCarr, I like the Hurricanes. And the Blues Blackhawks, what a great fun rivalry. Jason of Earth, we let someone else handle our trades. Of course, our gains are astronomical anyway. And for us, silver gains manipulated, and forget about Fort Knox. Yeah, no auditing of Fort Knox. That kind of says a lot, don't we? Do we do Conspiracy Theory Friday tomorrow? I don't think so, but we'll see what happens on a Friday. Protected Power Turncoat Syndicate, MTG Linguistic Psyop Coercion, TM Extreme Manip, Epstein Rules, Boiling Frog as Awakening, you espoused part of Q. Titanic. So is this a Q thing? You think it's still Q? You think that's what's happening? It's really the only hope we have. Otherwise, we're totally cooked. So I hope you're right. Carmine, Trump is visiting a majority Jewish town in New York tomorrow, Monsey, to show support for Israel First AIPAC-funded politician Mike Lawler. Yes, Mike Lawler, who's pro-amnesty, by the way. Oh, Thomas Massey's bad on immigration. And then Trump goes and campaigns for pro-amnesty Republicans. It's all a joke. But that's the price you pay for being informed, where most people are too ignorant to even know this stuff. It's like opposite day over and over again. What are we talking about? Epstein was probably on the visitors list. Yeah. That's good. Well, his lawyers, maybe. If the Trumps have had in Tesla's notes and secret tech, they shouldn't be easily blackmailed, so he must be in on it. Well, maybe he's a time traveler. Let's hope. It's our only hope. Brandon, G27 City. Thoughts on the World Cup, Schroyer? I'm glad FIFA is getting their butts handed to them when it comes from the hotel bookings, and they cannot sell out the U.S. opener, and resellers will hopefully suffer. Well, that whole situation is crazy. I don't know what's going to go on with the World Cup. I will tell you, and I'll be spoiling this, but I really don't care. I was following prices because I wanted to get my dad a birthday and Father's Day gift. And his birthday is like the day after Father's Day all the time. So I've been monitoring tickets because I want to take him to a World Cup game here in Texas. The ticket prices are crazy. I wonder if they're not going to come down, but right now it is insane. Tonight's cheapest ticket for the New York Knicks game was $800. Who can afford this stuff? Somebody. But the whole World Cup vibe is weird right now. The buzz is not there. Maybe it'll happen. Maybe it's just U.S. just isn't a soccer deal. I don't know. Vaccines are priming our bodies for transhumanism, maybe more so than we even know. As a toddler, you shoved a bean down your ear. Okay, I thought we were going a different direction, Jason. Good Lord. As an adult, no chips will be in my brain. Can we program an AI to tell other AI about evil elites? Who knows? Maybe they already know. Maybe they don't like them. Maybe they do. Oh, and deep state arrests are never going to happen. All right, I know. The sports slop is better than Elon simping. More sports slop than Elon, huh? Okay. Noted. Hannibal, Joel Skousen says he wants on. He has top info. I don't know if you're being serious or not. Is he in Austin? Where is Joel? Or is he in the Ozarks? What is the topic with Elizabeth later? Probably everything. To think we thought Romney was a good candidate. Israel this, Israel that. You want to make change? Activate young voters. We don't stand a chance against the boomer wall while bitching on X. The young voters are activated. We're just outnumbered right now, as far as voting is concerned. DeSantis, I could overlook kissing the wall, not 1A attack. You got to. I mean, it's politics. It's just how it goes. Does DMT glaze Elon as much as you? No. This is something we bicker on all the time. Maybe you'll hear from DMT tomorrow. Maybe DMT has an announcement tomorrow. He hates, not that he hates Elon. He hates that I won't be negative towards Elon. So, no, we are diametrically opposed on that. And maybe we'll bring that to air tomorrow. Thoughts on Candace Owens' Hunter Biden interview? No, didn't watch it. Not really interested. Use Seattle is already cleaning up for FIFA. Oh, did I see that? Well, they're going to have to. All of these cities are going to have to clean up for the World Cup. And by the way, most of these football stadiums are putting natural grass into the turf because you can't play soccer on fake AstroTurf. I just wonder when the NFL is going to do that. Long overdue. All right, that does it. We got a hard out going on with Elizabeth Lane immediately after this. I'm going to sign on. I'm going to join her. God bless, Godspeed. I'll see you tomorrow, 3 o'clock.